Now it's time for more of Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's talk Hookup. Get ready for more of the best fishing information and the hottest tips on improving your angling skills. Let's Talk Hookup is sponsored in part by Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup. Shimano Rods and Reels. Fish with the best. Shimano. And by Rancho Leonero, where your wildest Baja dreams come true. And now, Southern California's sports fishing voice, the hosts of Let's Talk Hookup, Pete Gray, Rock Cod Rick Mexa, and Corey Sandin.
And welcome back. Hour number 2, Let's Talk Hookup, right here on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Mightier 1090 ESPN Radio. Pete Gray here, along with Rock Cod Rick Maxa and the world headquarters of Let's Talk Hookup here next to the San Diego Landings in Point Loma with Kristy Antonello and Bob Dawson from Dawson Insurance Service, talking boat insurance, talking travel insurance, and talking fishing.
This has been a great show already, and you got another full hour coming our way. So much great information between these two. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have some really good text questions stacked up, too.
Some amazing text questions.
This is going to be a great show. Again, if you want to join us this morning, give us a call at 213-432-1090. Again, 213-432-1090. We have one open phone line. They were completely full before we went into break, and somebody dropped off there, so one open on the calls, or keep those texts scrolling through on the Let's Talk Hookup app. Again, make sure that you include your contact info when you do send your text message question in there, because we are giving away a full-day trip on board the Liberty at a Fisherman's Landing. Get in on all that great bluefin, yellowfin, yellowtail fishing that those guys are experiencing on the Liberty. Somebody's going to get to go fishing with a free trip at the end of the show today.
Yeah, before we jump into the catch report, Mario from Pasadena says, are there limits on these plans as per accident basis, or are they aggregate limits?
So as far as the evacuation or emergency transportation portion on the annual plans, it's 2 emergency transports per policy term, so per year. As far as
you could do it. So
you could have 2.
If you have unfortunate,
right?
To be,
exactly.
Very unlucky.
So that's very unlikely, but yes, would be very unlucky. But as far as the cancellation or interruption portion or baggage or things like that, it's just the maximum benefit on the policy itself. So the cancellation and interruption depends on what level. So if you choose $3,000, let's say you lost $500 deposit here and you lost $2,000 here and then another $200 here, all of those would be covered as long as they were covered losses.
The basic policy covers up to $2,500.
$3,000 for an annual plan. $3,000 annually for cancellation or interruption.
And then the next level up
$5,000
is $5,000, and then the next level up from that
$7,500, and then $10,000.
And then $10,000, and there are different costs going up there. So, for example, I have the $5,000 policy. If I were to make a claim for that hotel room we used in Juneau, which was $380 a night, I would have that left on my policy minus that $380. I'd have minus $5,000 minus $380. I'd have that amount left on my policy to claim if I had another trip.
That's correct.
Another trip or 2 or 3 in interruption.
That's correct.
Okay,
yes.
It's not it's not a one-time deal.
No, not at all.
Yeah, wow, that's great.
That's great, man.
Yeah,
it's so good. And I mean, just your one trip interruption that you had is going to basically cover the cost of your entire policy. You know what I mean? Like that one event that you had is going to be worth having it the whole time over.
Pretty darn close.
No doubt.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's find out what's biting.
All right. Hey, with that said, it's time for that catch report. Today, our FishDope.com report is sponsored by the Fish Pros at Fisherman's Processing in San Diego. You can get the best processing for your fish when your trip returns. Plus, with Fish Pros, the market, you can purchase fresh fish. They have their famous spices, their rubs, the poke kit. Stop by their location in Old Town on Taylor Street or order online at fishermansprocessing.com. Be sure you make those reservations by texting them at 619-255-3128. We're going to start it off with our private boater buddy, Captain Mark Wish is on the line. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, Ricky, Pete, Kristy, Bob. Great show this morning. And I got to say, with regards to our fish report here, without a doubt, yesterday was one of the best fishing days so far this season. The stuff just floated up in so many areas, mostly biting pretty good. And coupled with the nice weather, man, it made for some epic catches for private boat guys. This is awesome to see things really get rolling here. So start close to home and with an area that's near and dear to my heart, because this is where I learned local fishing, is the bass and barracudas. Barracudas, they've been noticeably absent, and they threw us a bone here. They swam into our area and are really biting conditions got right. And the cooters are big, man. They're not these little peachy ones. They're really, really nice ones. And scattered from the east end of the horseshoe up toward the middle grounds and even toward the west a little bit. And the best part, those things are biting the iron, man. This is like classic old school summertime barracuda fishing. It was just really good the last couple days. Do a slow wind with a Tatty C and a single hook, and man, it was just deadly. And then along with the barracudas there, because we got some anchovies and the receivers right now, it's really easy to catch a bunch of really nice sand bass and calico bass also. So really good local fishing. You guys want to learn how to do it, get a copy of my book, Between 2 and 20 Fathoms. It'll dial you in there. Over at Catalina, whole new bunch of yellowtail moved in. We've had them school size around for quite some time. And these new ones, though, these are much bigger fish, 25, 30, even a little bit more. Definitely mackerel snappers. They love them big baits. And most of the bigger fish have been backside east, around the east end, up toward Long Point on the front there. Slow troll of mackerel on heavy gear is the best way to capture one of those things. And as you hook one, you got to pull hard. Those seals over there at all the islands, but Catalina seals are really an issue. And then offshore, oh, my God, that bluefin put on a hell of a show yesterday. Floated up just about everywhere from well above the 499 up toward the Osborne like that. Lots of big ones up in that sector. The 289 zone down off the front side of Clemente there had really nice mix of yellowfin and bluefin and daytime fishing, daytime fly line fishing. 30-pound test number 2 hook and a hot bait was a good answer for those guys. And then closer to the beach from outside the 9 up the coast on the edge of that color break there, this is, and it's a whole new area of fish that popped up, but there were spots of foamers all along that edge, all the way up to right outside of Dana Point there, inside the 14 to about 6-8 miles off of Dana. Late in the day yesterday, that stuff popped up. And I would imagine, guys, with that being new fish and just mostly showing up yesterday, that the guys getting on it today are going to have some really fun fishing before it gets too crazy crowded. And I just heard from Danny a little bit ago. He just called me with an update. They're already starting to see some spots of foamers on the edge of that break there. So get out there with the surface irons and the Colt snipers and the poppers and all that foamer stuff. And I think we're going to have some just epic fishing here today. Sounds like it's time to go, guys. Time to go for sure.
Oh, yeah, and at fishdope.com, Danny and the boys always have the good information. I've been watching it every day and keeping track of what's going on. $20 off a new membership to fishdope.com using the code HookUpNow. Lowercase, no space, HookUpNow is your $20 code. And, Mark, how do we find you?
Well, Pete, we're in Huntington Beach by the big Chevron station where it's $5.61 a gallon now. I think it is raised to like 26.
Go to Summit Gasoline. It's about $1 cheaper.
Anyway, right there on the corner of both Chica and Edinger. And phone number at the store is area code 714-840-4262. The website's PacificEdgeTackle.com. And without a doubt, guys, it is time to go fishing. They're biting.
Finally, yes. It's here and time to go. Hey, Mark, thanks a lot for that report, and we will talk to you next Saturday.
You got it. We're looking forward to it. We'll see.
Yeah. Thanks. Appreciate that. Have phones are packed. Let's jump into it.
That sounds great to me.
For Marco.
You got it. How about we talk to Dave? Dave's calling us from Anza this morning. Hi, Dave.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Just really enjoying the show there. Say, my wife and I, we do a lot of RV traveling. We've RV'd up to Alaska and back 2 times. We've done coast to coast, and we just got back from a big trip through the Intermountain West. Just wondering, now we have towing insurance on the RV through both Auto Club and Good Sam that covers that, but what do you offer that might be applicable to RV travelers? I especially love to think that if something happened to me, if I had a medical emergency, what about for my wife and the dogs if they're stranded somewhere? What do you have that might help me out?
Well, I always recommend the annual insurance plan just because it's a flat price. It's not based on your age. It's usually less expensive than buying. If you had to cover even 2-3-day trips a year, it's probably going to be less expensive to get a 1-year plan. So that's what I'd recommend. Even if you get the base plan with the $3,000 in trip cancellation, the $20,000 in medical coverage, the $100,000 in medevac and ambulance costs, that would still be a great option. As far as coverage goes, as you know, so you're with Good Sam. They're a great company, but you had asked about if you're traveling, if your destination is over 100 miles from home and a medical issue arises, then your travel insurance would actually pick up, even on the basic plan, $20,000 in medical costs that were unreimbursable to you, and up to $100,000 in ambulance and air medevac costs. So that would be the best option, and at a flat price of $280 a year, it's
a bargain. Hey, Dave, thanks a lot for the phone call this morning. I have a great text here from Mike in Huntington Beach, and it's a little long, so I'm going to abbreviate a little bit here. Kristy and Bob and the gang, great show. My wife and I have been insured with Dawson Insurance for the past few years. Can't go anywhere without it. Always talking to either seems like favorite, it's like family members when we talk to you is basically what he's saying. And it's always a big relief to know that they have medical coverage and medevac insurance coverage too there and they travel to Mexico, to Canada, Alaska, Portugal, Spain. And thanks, Bob, appreciate that. And the question he has is your fishing tackle gear bag insured if stolen or lost by airlines? Good question.
Yeah,
what about your
question.
luggage?
Sure.
Is there? That's kind of why I want to get through the whole thing, basically, because that was a good question about luggage insurance.
Sure, that is a great question. So you do have coverage for some of your, for your items if they're lost in baggage. However, it would really be the point of it is because it's limited to $500 for a high value item, up to $2,000 depending upon the plan that you have. For lost baggage. So really,
so that's part of the policy?
Yes. So it helps with your deductible. Basically, on something like that, you'd want to claim for larger, more expensive items under your homeowner's insurance, and then in this plan would cover any deductible that you might have up to the amount of coverage that you have, but no more than like $500 for a high value item.
So what you're saying is on even luggage, your homeowner's insurance is going to cover that, but if you have a $1,000 deductible, your travel insurance policy would reimburse you for the $1,000 deductible.
Provided, yes. If you lost more than one item, yes. So it's limited to $500 for one high value item, but yes, to be short and sweet, yes, it would cover it.
So if you lost 4 reels or something like that, it'd be covered.
You want to definitely
cover your whole deductible then.
Yeah, for sure. On the homeowners or renters or condominium owners policy, the amount of insurance that you have on your personal property, 10% of that goes to off premises worldwide.
Okay.
So if you had $100,000 in contents, you got $10,000 worldwide coverage, and it wouldn't take long to get through $10,000 on fishing equipment.
No,
I mean, you could spend $10,000 on 10 rods and reels if they're custom and nice stuff.
Yeah, have you seen his arsenal, Kristy?
Only part of it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's hiding the rest.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, with that said, we're going to continue on with our catch report, find out what's going on the water. We got Captain Mike Pritchard from the Tribune on the line. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning, gang. I had to double check the phone number I called there for a second.
Yeah. Well, travel insurance is important because I know Dawson Insurance covers your boat too.
Well, they cover a lot more than that. Good morning, Kristy. Very, very, very familiar voices on the phone here right now. I have literally everything. Houses, cars, toys, boats. It's all through them. It's awesome.
That's so rad.
Some of the easiest, and I've talked to Kristy about all kinds of different things over the years, and she's as far as homeowners and just different ways of going about things. I mean, I've spent a lot of time on the phone with her over the last couple of years.
Yep.
You guys are awesome, and yes, I mean, I have literally everything covered through them.
It's great to hear your voice, Mike. I've missed you on my text messages.
You too. but back to the other side of things. Fishing has been phenomenal lately. I mean, we're talked about here just recently, 25 mixed tuna for the morning, yellowfin up to 40 pounds, bluefin up to 80 pounds. Wow. I got in from a one-day trip yesterday, and it was one of those things. There's a couple different areas of fish, a little bit smaller grades, bluefin in one area, and some nicer mixed grade, and we were on a one-day trip, and telling these guys, you got to start pulling on your fish. We got to go home. Our last few bluefin on the boat yesterday were right around 100 pounds. So, I mean, there's some really, really good fishing to be had.
Man, that's great. God, that's cool.
And the weather's nice.
Even better.
Gotta love that. Yeah. So, are there any spots available on the Tribute to go fishing?
You know what? Tomorrow night there is. It's a Pete Sport sponsored trip. I think there's about a dozen spots left. I'm sure you guys have seen some of the other reports. Some of the guys on overnight trips that went down the beach, the Highliner and the Aztec already turned in limits of bluefin this morning, and very good fishing for the majority of the guys yesterday. And there's really good fishing to be had on overnight. I'm sure even full day guys killed it yesterday. And day and a half trips were, like I said, we're fishing a little bit different area, concentrating more on bigger fish today, and it's working out really well. So day and a half trip tomorrow night, day and a half trip Tuesday night, 1 day trip Thursday night. There's room on all three of those, and then sold out for the weekend. And once we start getting into August and September, we're 90% chartered. So if you want to come out and fish, now's the time.
Mike, it's like the fish are in multiple zones. All the size classes are available. There's daytime fish. There's nighttime fish. Everything just seems to be happening right now. We're really firing on all cylinders.
It is. And you know what? Some of the, I'm sure you've seen some of the videos that some of the full-day guys posted yesterday. Those bluefin biting down the beach, they're not the biggest great fish, but they're biting like yellowfin.
Wow.
Aggressive in the corner.
Yeah, I mean, they're nice fish. They're, 15, 20-pound fish, but I saw some videos that some of the guys posted. I know Taro, I think, posted one this morning, and it looks like something you'd expect out of, a 20-pound yellowfin. It's gnarly.
Gotta love it, man. And the fish spotter, the fishdope.com spotter plane was up yesterday, and they said the spread of fish from down there all the way up toward Clemente is just unbelievable, right?
I was wondering who that was. That makes sense now. I was watching the plane fly over, and that all kind of comes together. But yes, very, very good fishing. And like I said, if you take a look at our Facebook page or Instagram, lots of fish yesterday. We had a couple of kids that were on the boat. We had one, and I made sure I posted him specifically. Ryder, I'm not going to try to say his last name, but a kid came out 11 years old, him and his dad, and I think is another family member from Arizona, and he was out there just killing it at the rail, got his own, 11-year-old kid fishing the jig hard at night, and he had a great trip. He definitely won for the books.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
So let me
Mike.
ask you this, Mike. On the Tribute, when you head out of the harbor, which way do you go? With all this fish, how do you decide which way to go?
Yeah, and that was a thing. That was a little bit of controversy last night. Why we were going one direction instead of the other, and some of the guys did it. A couple of guys on overnight trips, like I said, already turned in limits. But we had all day to fish, 2 nights, and we wanted to try to take advantage of that little bit bigger fish. If I was leaving on a 1 day trip like Jason on the Highliner or Greg on the Aztec, I would have gone down the beach too. And I mean, they're done.
Yeah, they're already finished for the day.
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah,
I talked to Captain Frank, and I asked him how it was going. About an hour ago, I go, dude, we got 25 fish on the boat. We got multiple fish hanging, fish up to 80 pounds, and I'm like, well, that worked too.
Yeah,
we got all day
that's
to concentrate on putting some bigger ones on the boat. It's a good time to go fishing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, of course,
if you like pizza port and pizza, and tomorrow night's a great chance to jump on the boat. There's a little bit of room left.
All right, jump on it. C4 Sport Fishing, and we have Marcos on the line too. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that very much.
Guys
Marcos,
have a great day.
Marcos will tell us how to book the trip for sure. Yeah. Hey, Marcos. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How is everyone?
Everything's good. You heard Mike's report.
He pretty much did my report for me.
Yeah,
so
it's just read the phone. We'll call it a day.
Yeah, I owe him a drink or something. Yeah. It's pretty much you got a good idea of what those trips offshore there. The full day in San Diego, seeing bluefin, yellowfin, all those 1 day and a half, seeing bluefin, yellowfin, occasional yellowtail sneaking in there on some of those trips. I had a few boats calling this morning, either catching fish already or at limit, so it's great fishing. And Mike gave a great overview of that, so I don't really have much to add there. The half day, though, has actually had very good fishing over this last week here. That calico bass fishing has sure picked up, and when you're looking at those counts, you're going to see maybe caught 25 fish and released 50. And we've talked about this. Once they raise that size limit up to 14, we're releasing a lot more fish. But catching a 13-inch calico bass is still a pretty fun experience there. So you might not get to take them all home, but great fishing there. A little bit of sand bass in the mix, still a bit of shallow water rockfish, sheephead. They had one yellowtail earlier in the week, I believe on the 4th of July, actually. They caught a yellowtail. So very good fishing all around. Twilight also. And, yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't have a lot to add to Mike's report there. It's exactly where we expect to be at this time. Fishing's getting good, if it's not already. Yellowfin, bluefin, yellowtail, calico bass, sand bass. We're in the whole gamut there. So check the website, seaforthlanding.com. Got those schedules up there for the half days, morning, afternoon, and twilight. And again, those twilight trips are sure a lot of fun to get out there. A little more relaxed trip, go out there, catch some bass, have a drink and a burger. Those full day trips on the San Diego and the Sea Watch, we've got both those trips online as much as possible. And then those 1 day, day and a half, 2 days, 3 days, we've got trips scheduled out through the summer here. So seaforthlanding.com. You can make your reservations directly online there. You can give us a call at the office, 619-224-3383. Come down, visit us in person, get your gear tuned up, have a burrito, hop on the boat, and get out there and catch some fish.
I'll bet Kristy will be visiting C4 Sport Fishing this week.
I'm hungry now.
Yeah. All right. Hey, grab a fish taco there. They're good. Right.
Exactly.
Thanks, Marcos. Appreciate that very much, and we'll talk to you next Saturday.
We'll talk to you then, guys.
Thanks, Marcos. All right, that's going to wrap up our catch sport. Want to remind you, it's time for the tuna in SoCal, and if you're not using Gamakatsu hooks, you're missing the bites, man. The Nautilus Circle Hook comes in sizes as small as a number 4 for those finesse scenarios, and all the way up to a 6.0 for those big bluefins. And when big fish are on the move, the Nautilus HD is tough enough, but not too oversized that it slows down your bait. Both of them come ringed or non-ringed. You can see your local dealers or check gamakatsu.com.
Indeed. Phones are packed. Let's jump into it,
they
Rick.
really are. Busy morning.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to talk to Kristy and Bob. Let's jump in and talk to Tom. He's calling us from Temecula this morning. Hi, Tom. Welcome to the show.
Morning, guys. Morning, Bob. So we've had insurance with Bob for the last 2 years, and this year we took a Viking River cruise, and we had a problem with a connection flight into Heathrow in London. We missed the connection. We had to be put up for a night in some little podunk airport. Anyway, we missed a night in Lucerne, and after struggling with British Airways, and they would not compensate us for all of what we lost, we went directly through the carrier with Dawson's insurance, and my wife was surprised that, we had a check coming to us the next day, like virtually, and took care of all of the stuff we had missed that British Airways did not pick up. So kudos to the insurance company there, and we are a firm believer and highly recommend them.
That's got to make you guys feel really good, man. That's awesome. Good job, you two. That's rad.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good story, Tom. Thanks a lot for the phone call this morning. I have another good testimonial here. You have a lot of people out there. I mean, it's like the texts and the calls and stuff
Here's
like that.
some of the problems is we get a lot of texts. The show's The problem is sifting through because
trying to get through them.
All of them say the same thing. Man, I've been using Dawson for years. They're great. They helped me on this trip. Man, I love Dawson. They're so easy. It's like they're all the same thing. It's all accolades for you guys.
Yeah, Bob, I purchased the executive plan with you in February. I'm going to Italy with my wife in October. Should I purchase a plan for her as well? That's from Shane in San Luis Obispo.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to
because if you're going together, you need separate policies.
Yes. Yeah. You need each person insured.
Is there a family plan?
There is. It only makes sense though to get the family plan versus because there's a 1-year family plan, and then of course there's individual 1-year plans. If you have like 3 children and you want the whole family covered for up to $15,000 a year, you can get that. But if you don't have a lot of children, you're usually less expensive to get a per-trip coverage and a coverage
per-person coverage.
Right. A per-person coverage for the 1 year. A lot of times it's less expensive than a family plan.
I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the number, Kristy? 4 kids? 3 kids? You think?
It really depends on the level because that one starts at $2,000. So sometimes it makes sense too if it's like a smaller trip, let's say, and and they're not sure if they're going to travel throughout the rest of the year, but they want to they want to make sure that they're covered. The plan for the family starts at $2,000. It goes up to $15,000 in coverage. But I would say they need to have at least 2 children to make where it makes sense.
To travel enough, with the parents.
The travel,
Right.
if you travel.
We can insure children that are 17 years or younger for free under a per trip plan. So sometimes it just makes more sense to do it that way. Let's say everybody's going to Disney World or whatever. It's you're going to have the same coverage for the children if they're 17 and under for each paying adult. So if you got 2 children, husband and wife is both on the plan. It's going to be that's your best option. Get that. Everybody's got the same coverage. Everybody's got $1,000 in baggage loss and whatever the cost of the trip is. Let's say it's a total $10,000, $2,500 a person. And the kids are going for free with the same coverage you have.
And you'll be able to advise them on which policy is best for them.
That's why we like to talk to them personally and say, because a lot of times if you call any of the carriers directly, they're just going to say, what plan are you interested in, rather than finding out what your specific scenario is, because sometimes it makes more sense. I've had it where, we have couples that one of them travels a bunch, and I'll write an annual plan for that person and then write an individual plan for the wife or the husband or whoever is not traveling with the kids for that one specific trip, and it ends up saving them hundreds of dollars versus going another way.
Wow.
So.
You guys are great. This is so cool.
Good stuff. Yeah. Well, let's jump back on the phone.
You got it. How about this time we talk to Jim? He's calling us from National City this morning. Hi, Jim. Welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Hey, good morning, guys. Rick and Pete, Bob and Kristy. I purchased their $280 plan last year. And Rick, one of your guys down there, Mike Poteet, we got on a trip. The trip was the day after Thanksgiving, and I ended up going into the emergency room Thanksgiving Day. And I put up half my deposit for this 2.5-day trip on the Royal Star. But anyway, I had to go in the emergency room. The doctor advised me not to go on the fishing trip. But I just wanted to say that Bob Dawson and Kristy stepped up, and a couple of different things. First, Bob took my deal, and he ended up going up to Lake Tahoe for some seminar. Then Kristy stepped in, and both just handled purely professional. And a couple of times we had to re-emit things to the insurance company. And Bob told me, he goes, hey, they got some new employees. He goes, just make sure you give them everything they want, and you'll get your money. And sure enough, I got my almost $800, no fee, no nothing. They gave me the whole amount, and boy, both people, Bob and Kristy, I just can't tell you how helpful they were.
And that's for a policy that costs you $280.
Yeah, right?
For the whole year.
For the whole year. For every trip that you go on. And emergency evac. I mean, you don't even think about the emergency evac stuff and stuff like that. One thing I want to say, and thanks for the call,
Great
Jim.
story, Jim.
Yeah, really good story. Is as you go up in policy, increased things happen, right? So in other words, the $280 policy is different than the $500 policy in the emergency evac numbers, and the trip insurance. Why don't you kind of explain those scenarios?
Yes. So the lowest level on the annual plan is the annual deluxe plan, and that one comes with $20,000 in emergency medical coverage and $100,000 in emergency transportation. Whereas when you go up to the higher plans that cover $5,000 or higher than that, it's called the executive plan, and that increases the medical coverage benefit to $50,000 and then the emergency transportation to $250,000 for the year. And then the other ancillary benefits are the same, but you have the higher cancellation and interruption coverage. Yes.
Higher cancellation and interruption. Okay. That's good awesome information.
All right, when we come back, we got a lot more Let's Talk Hookup coming your way. More phone calls, more text messages, and more with the experts of travel. That's Kristy and Bob. You stay tuned. It's Let's Talk Hookup on the Mighty 1090 ESPN Radio.
Hey, we're so lucky here in San Diego. We have fantastic weather and great fishing. We also have 3 great shops to take care of anglers. Hi, this is Ben, and you will see me at my dad's shop, Dana Landing in Mission Bay. We call it the one-stop shop for a great day on the water because it truly is. Food, bait, tackle, beverages, and more. Our tackle shop, headed by Johnny, is certainly one of the best. We have you covered from bay bass to big tuna. Plus, we have Doug, one of the finest reel repair guys around. For freshwater tackle, nothing beats East County Bait and Tackle. Gene and the guys have the best rod and reels, the hottest lures, and live bait. Our newest shop is Lemon Grove Bait and Tackle, growing their stock of both fresh and saltwater tackle right in the heart of Lemon Grove. ECBT is at the end of the 67 freeway on Mapleview and Lakeside. Lemon Grove Bait and Tackle, 94 to Broadway in Lemon Grove. And Dana Landing is next to the Dana Lawn Tramp in Mission Bay. Check danalanding.com for more details.
On your next fishing trip, you want to maximize your catching power by using the best jigs available. That's why you need Sea Falcon. These handmade Japan brand certified lures will take your fishing and catching to the next level. All Sea Falcon jigs and plugs are hand painted in Japan, utilizing the highest level of quality and attention to detail. Gamakatsu's premium assist hooks are ideal to pair with Sea Falcon lures. From knife jigs, short jigs, poppers, and plugs, Sea Falcon lures get it done. Check SeaFalconUSA.com.
Want to take your catch from fresh to superior grade? This is Robbie Gant from AFCO. We developed the tools for the EKGMA process. Circuit Breaker is specially designed to disable the full length of the fish's spinal cord. The memory-resistant wire of AFCO's Circuit Breaker will not bend or kink even after repeated use. Take your fish care to the next level with Circuit Breaker by AFCO. Available at a dealer near you or check out AFCO.com.
Like Robbie said, take your fish care to the next level with Circuit Breaker by AFCO. Check AFCO.com or your favorite tackle retailer.
Great fishing is what Seaforth Sports Fishing in Mission Bay is all about. With free parking and fully stocked tackle shop, Seaforth Sport Fishing is a favorite among anglers. Come aboard top boats like the Aztec, Cortez, Endeavor, Apollo, Outer Limits, Elgato Doe, Pride, Polaris Supreme, Tribute, Pacifica, Pacific Voyager, and the Voyager. Plus, the new Seaforth, Sea-Watch, and San Diego offer the finest half and full day trips available. Seaforth Sport Fishing. For charters or schedule, check SeaforthLanding.com. Run by fishermen for fishermen in Mission Bay.
I can't wait to spend some quality time with my son fishing this year, teaching him about casting, how to choose bait, set the hook, and how to be safe on the water by always wearing a life jacket. Save the ones you love. A message from California State Parks Division of Boating and Waterways.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. Having a great time here this morning. Been a crazy busy show. Again, phones totally packed up, but plenty of time to get you through. We want to answer those questions. 213-432-1090 or send us a text on that Let's Talk Hookup app.
You have a good one, Rick?
I do, yeah, I thought so. This is good morning. Question for Bob and Kristy. I'm going to Cedros Island soon with Cedros Sport Fishing. My question is, if I get injured, who is it that decides if my injury or condition warrants early flights out? That's from Jeff in Mission Viejo.
So, what would happen if you were injured while on a trip? Is you would contact the 800 line for emergency services based on whoever the attending physician is or whatever location you're at. They're the ones that determines the level of severity of your condition and the ability to treat where you're at or if you need to be transported back home. If they can safely transport you to your hospital, that will be done, as soon as possible, but it is based on the severity of your condition. So that's determined by whoever is the attending physician at the time.
And that's on their ID card.
Right.
Okay, let's say you are in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had a friend of mine call me. He's like, I have a friend that's very sick and needs to be transported out of Cabo San Lucas yesterday. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, seriously.
How does that happen? When I'm sick, I have to make a call, or do we call Bob Dawson? Or
so we send out laminated ID cards that have all of the in the U.S. and out of U.S. Or international phone numbers on them. So that number anyone can call with the plan number that's also provided right there on the card and say this person is this is going on. So sometimes it's the medical facility themselves that's calling, not necessarily the traveler. That's why we always make sure, to tell you to put it in your wallet and keep it with you in case you're not in a condition that you can make a call, because hopefully that doesn't happen. But if it does, somebody needs to be able to make that. Otherwise, I mean, it usually goes off of whatever the physician is recommending, and then the payment can be done afterwards if they can't call and get the guarantee over the phone, like right then and there.
Yeah, and this is another, like my friend was calling me, like, who do I call? Right, and that's the other issue. You have that ID card. You know exactly who to call.
And it says right on there, emergency services.
Yeah, if you have an emergency situation. So the card itself is worth
safety net,
worth some serious safety. Yeah, exactly, for sure.
One of the things that I always liked, and Bob, you always stressed it, was that it was the ability to go to your doctor or your hospital or your hospital of choice. That lesser plans sometimes included evac, but it just got you to the most convenient spot. And you always touted the fact that it's getting you home to where you need to be, to where you want to be in the hospital.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you have, let's say, just your regular medical plan, whether you're covered under group insurance or an individual plan, if you're, let's say you're down in Cabo, you break your leg. Okay, they're gonna put you into the Cabo hospital, and we in Cabo San Lucas they deal with so many Americans that it's like they almost accept any American insurance. So let's say you're with whatever company you're with, they would cover that. We would pick up any other expenses that they wouldn't cover. And the other thing in addition to that is we're going to fly you back home after you're able to fly. When you get clearance from the doctor saying, okay, we had a serious break in your leg, you can't fly when you have surgery. And I had one guy in Africa for 21 days. The doctor finally said, okay, yeah, you're fine to fly. We flew him back to the U.S. from Johannesburg here to San Diego with a nurse, because he just had to be watched, because
and it was covered.
Yeah, it was covered. Yeah,
we had a similar situation happen last year with a client that went down to Mexico, and same thing. They were hospitalized there. As soon as they were deemed, it was safe for travel, they were then escorted with a nurse on that one. I think it was a commercial flight, but again, if it's whatever is available or is deemed necessary. So it could have been on a private flight, but in his case, it wasn't that severe. He just wanted to get to his home hospital, but they did have a nurse go with him to get him to.
And you can make that. Sure. So that's the other question. Okay, I go to Mexico a lot. I do not want to have surgery in Mexico. Is that my option to come home if I have the policy?
You can request to come home. However, I will say that down in Mexico, that attending, I can't say 100% because the attending physician has to be able to say that they either don't have the ability to treat that, or it's not. If they say it's not safe for you to travel, then you're kind of at their mercy, we don't control that, of course.
Right.
But yes, you can get to your.
But if they say, we can do the surgery here, and I say I don't want to have that surgery, I want to go home, is that
as long as you're stable enough to travel, then you can request.
Then you can make that. Then you can make that home hospital.
I would, I tell you, a lot of the doctors and dentists in Mexico are very well trained.
Yeah.
They're most of them have gone to universities here in the States, and I mean, they really know what's going on. And I've had situations where people refuse to get the service from a surgeon in Mexico, and they ended up losing half of their foot because the surgeon said, look, I can save it, but we're going to have to
do something right now.
Yeah. Well, instead, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to fly back home, and he did, but he ended up losing half his foot.
Yeah.
Since it's not a fun scenario, but I mean, it's the person's choice.
Of course.
Okay. That's what it is. Your choice. Okay. All right. Here's another one. My wife and I are leaving for Rancho Leonero on Tuesday, July 11th, and returning July 15th. Is it too late to get insurance? From Gary in Sierra Mesa.
No, it's not too late. You can purchase insurance to be effective the following day. So if it was purchased today, it could technically go into effect tomorrow.
Okay.
And if you're whether you're purchasing an annual or an individual plan.
Now they've already obviously made a deposit. So would they still be covered for pre-existing conditions?
If they have already made their deposit more than 14 days ago, they would not have coverage for pre-existing medical conditions, but all the other benefits would still be the
emergency
same.
evac,
or if they had an accident, or let's say God forbid the 10th, somebody tested positive for COVID or something like that. Those things would be covered as long as it's not pre-existing at the time that they purchased the coverage.
Okay.
Yeah. And the pre-existing relates to something that's very specific that they were treated for 6 months ago. I tore a rotator cuff, and I went in for surgery on that 3 months ago. Like, it's something very specific like that. If you just, if you hurt your back and you had no idea about it before, you're still covered.
Right. Yes.
It's just a pre-existing stuff.
Yeah, because I had one client had a $17,000 caribou hunt, and he had cancer, but he purchased the policy within that 14-day period. He told me, he said, Bob, he says, I've got some bucket list things that I want to do before I pass away. Unfortunately, he passed away, but we ended up refunding the $17,000 to his daughter for that trip because even though he had cancer, and they said, yeah, you're stage 4, you're going to be dying sometime in the near future. He said, I'm going to make every trip I can.
He bought the policy within 14 days of that diagnosis.
Yeah, and it was covered. The whole $17,000 refunded to him.
Wow, amazing. All right, let's jump back on the phones, Rick.
You got it. How about this time we talk to Harry. Harry's calling us from La Jolla this morning. Hi, Harry. Welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Hi, all. Hi, all. How are you all?
Great. Good morning.
Hi, Harry. I know who you are.
Bob, I've had my annual policy now for, I believe, 8 years consecutively, and I've never had to execute it. Thank heavens for that. I'm 83 years old, and I'll tell you what it does. It brings me peace of mind. I don't think twice about whether I have to cancel a trip before or whether I'm going to have a problem on the trip. It's so valuable, just peace of mind alone. And
How come you look so much younger than me, and I'm only 78?
Well, it's age is an attitude. I have to tell you that. The other thing is, I did want to talk about Cedros is developing quite a halibut fishery down there now, and I think
crazy, huh?
Rosie needs to make a little more people a little more aware of it. I mean, we know it's a bass capital, calico bass capital, and the yellows that we've been catching down there are enormous.
What about your sea bass you caught, Harry?
Oh.
How big was that white sea bass you caught at Cedros Sport Fishing?
It was incredible. I had to sit down for 5 minutes after I caught him.
Yeah. Congratulations, buddy.
That's a big one.
Well, thank you. Anyway, Bob, thanks for the insurance that I buy from you every year, and thank you, Let's Talk Hookup, for sending Corey along. It was just really fun to have him down there. We had dinner together every night, and he shared a lot of very valuable information about fishing and about the show, and it was just a great trip. Great trip.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Way to go, Harry.
He's a great host, for sure.
All right. Hey, another great text came through. Good morning, Bob and Kristy. Could you talk a little bit about what travelers should keep in mind to prepare themselves for an unlikely event of an accident, meaning like an illness or a disruption in their trip as it relates to filing a claim? What should the insurance company be looking for us to validate the claim, et cetera? That's from Ed in Ventura.
Yeah, we actually have a write-up, a one-page write-up on how to submit a claim. And, of course, you can go online and it'll go through the same thing. But there's some things you just have to have. You have to have proof of what you paid for the trip. If the doctor said, look, you can't go because you have the flu or you have COVID or whatever it might be, we just need a letter from the doctor, proof that, hey, he's recommending you do not travel and you can't travel. So basically you want to save your receipts to get reimbursed because the insurance companies will not believe what you say. You have to actually show proof of it. So if you booked an airfare and you have to cancel that, you booked hotel rooms and things like that, we want to get you reimbursed up to your policy limits, whatever plan you decide. But we can't do it without the proper documentation. So typically on a claim, we'll send them the one-page write-up that we have. But they can also go online with any of the travel insurance companies, and it tells exactly what you need to send in. If you do that, you get a refund very quickly. If you don't do that, if you miss one thing that they're asking for, it's going to delay it by 2 to 3 weeks.
And if you've purchased travel insurance with us, we recommend that you reach out to us so that we can send you that information. Usually, basically, what you're looking for is your original itinerary or original booking for airlines or charter or whatever whatever your travel expenses are that you're going to be including in that claim, your credit card receipt or credit card statement. You can black out everything else, but just showing that charge went through, or the canceled check for any deposits or payments that you made, along with the doctor's note stating what your illness or injury is and that you're not safe to travel during that time, a letter from the outfit showing their cancellation policy, and that's usually sufficient to get the claim through.
I just feel like the benefit of having a Bob and a Kristy when something goes wrong is
you just call up and you'll tell them
awesome.
exactly.
I can tell them right away without even talking to the carrier what they need to get together.
I mean, let's be real. Through it.
And then I really like to help assist as much as possible. Like, hey, get these things together. I even will recommend that they send them to me to take a look at before they upload them. Or if they need assistance uploading, we help with that. For those that just aren't really savvy on that end of it, just because that's the quickest way to get the claim to go through.
I mean, she got Jim and National City's money back.
Yeah,
come on, let's be real about this.
If she can get Jim and National City's money back, and get anybody.
She's a wizard.
Hey, another great text here from Arnold Allos. And he says, good morning, Pete, Bob, Kristy, and Rick, and the whole gang. Just made a reservation aboard the Searcher Accurate sponsored trip June 2024. If I do a couple of 1 or 1.5 day trips, will the 280 plan cover those additional trips?
Yeah, so you can choose whatever plan, whatever best suits what your travel plans are for the year. But yes, you can... let's say you purchased a $3,000 plan and you have a $2,500 trip coming up, or even a $3,000 trip coming up. We always recommend that if you're going to purchase an annual plan, you at least cover your largest trip for the year, because it's unlikely you're going to have to cancel or have all your trips interrupted throughout the year. But the possibility of one of them becoming interrupted or canceled is considerable. Yes. So that's the purpose for it. Yes, it would cover all of those regardless of if your total costs were above the plan limit that you chose. That would just be the maximum that the plan paid out in that year.
So if you book three $3,000 trips,
right,
and you take one, you're fine. You take the second, you're fine. But the third one doesn't go so well, you use your $3,000 coverage there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Covers all the trips.
That's great.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. Hey, another great text came through. This one on the boat insurance side of it, which we haven't talked a lot about. Morning, guys. My question is about insurance. Do I need an umbrella policy? I'm in the market for a brand new boat. That's from Matt.
Matt, that really depends on your operations, and umbrella policies on boats are, there are definitely fewer lenders that are extending those policies, and it is specific to what your operation is. So whether it's for personal use, whether it's for business use, what how large your operation is, how long you've been in business. So I would love to speak with you on that. Either Bob or I could talk to you on that. But you could certainly give us a call, and I'd love to go over your specific scenario.
Yeah, because we would recommend, if it's commercial, of course, you're going to have to get your own policy for it if it's used commercially. But if it's a personal use, pleasure use boat, you're going out fishing, taking the family out and things like that, you can add those boats to your homeowner's policy at a very reasonable rate. It's not a commercial exposure. It just makes more sense to do it that way. And you could add a personal umbrella policy with extend another $1 million on top of that coverage for basically $200 a year.
Yeah, and that depends upon, of course, the length of your boat and things. So definitely worth a call. We can help you determine what the best route is to go.
Okay. Let's jump back on the phone.
Yeah, Mike in Phoenix up next here on Let's Talk Hookup. What's up, Mike?
Hey, morning, people. Question for you. The question is, if I booked a trip already for the end of August and I fill out the paperwork and get a claim or the 280 program going and I can't make that trip, is that going to be covered?
It depends on the reason that you can't make the trip. So you can still purchase the coverage even if you've already made your deposit. If you had to cancel due to a pre-existing condition or something like that, there may not be coverage if it's been more than 14 days. If you just decide you don't want to go on the trip, or it just doesn't, that's not a covered reason for loss. Most of the policies are accident, illness, inclement weather.
You hurt your back, you get COVID, you get sick, you can't go on the trip. That's what it covers.
Or there's severe weather and that.
Yeah, if it's supposed to be windy and you go, I don't want to be on the water in the winter, that's not a coverage. No.
Bob, I think I remember you talking about in previous two some things like companion not going was an issue, and then I think that there was one that you talked about at one point that you had to pay a much higher premium, but it was a cancel for any reason. Like I know that that's not necessarily the yearly plan, which clearly seems to be the best value, but I remember you talking about some other options that existed too.
Yeah, you can get a cancel for any reason policy, and you can actually cancel a trip. Let's say the fishing's not good, and you're going, hell, I'm not going out there, the wind's blowing. And if you cancel within 48 hours of the departure, then you can get a refund, but you're not going to get 100% back. Most of the companies will only give you 50% back, and some most popular companies we use give up to 80% back in a refund for cancel for any reason. And you can also buy that coverage for, let's say that you and your wife are going on a trip and one of you gets ill. We're going to refund both of you because you're probably not going to go without your girlfriend or your wife or husband or whoever it might be.
Or both.
Yeah. Yeah, so you get all you take them all, It's a family affair.
That cancel for any reason coverage, though, that does need to be purchased within 14 days of making your initial deposit. It's not available after that.
Makes sense.
All right.
Always good.
Steve from Monrovia says, I recently purchased a trip insurance with Bob Dawson based on Let's Talk Hookup's recommendation and moved all my insurance, including my property, my car, and my umbrella policy to Dawson. Excellent service.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's a good
awesome.
testimony. And that's the other thing. We've been talking travel insurance because our listeners are so into fishing travel, going on sport fishing boats, going to Rancho Leonero, going to Kingfisher Charters, Katmai Lodge, all these travel destinations. But you write boat insurance policies, you do car insurance, you do home insurance, you do all of that stuff and offer the same kind of service.
Yes, absolutely.
It's kind of cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, kind of easy
one
to
stop
trust.
shop.
Yeah, easy to trust people too. That's the only thing.
You.
Yeah.
All right, I wanted to read another quick one. Question for the Dawson team: does travel insurance premiums increase if I need to make a claim? I've had insurance with the Dawson team for several years. Amazingly, they've always been able to answer all of my questions about insurance. So here's another one. Fortunately, I've never had to make a claim, but if I ever did, would my premiums increase for next year when I renew? That's from Norm in San Diego.
Travel insurance is one of the only insurances out there that doesn't increase when you have
amazing.
a claim.
Yeah, I mean, for real.
Oh yeah, and it's like when you have an auto accident and you make a
you
claim,
lose
with
your claims
it's like,
free discount.
God,
and you're like, darn it.
It's like, why did I do that? Right?
But that's a real thing. Like you get a small fender bender, you're trying to weigh out. Like, okay, well, do I not make a claim? Do I just pay for this out of pocket? What's going to cost me less?
Yeah.
And here you don't need to think about it.
That's correct. We've had guys that have had, I would say 5-6 claims, over the years, and they still get insurance every year,
and the policy's the same
never
price.
goes up. It's the same for you as it is for them. So.
That's awesome. Hey, when we come back, we're going to find out who's going on fishing on board the Liberty. A caller or a texter. We got more Let's Talk Hookup coming your way on the Mightier 1090 ESPN Radio.
Back in 1979, my parents started Fast Lane Sailing Center. They lived in a VW van in the parking lot and sold catamaran sailboats. And over the years, the shop has evolved. They've sold everything from windsurfers to barbecues, paddleboards, and trailers. Here's the point. For over 40 years, my parents, and eventually me, my brother Jared, and sister Ava, have been in the business of fun and making memories on the water with friends and family. If something's in the shop, it's a product we use, are passionate and knowledgeable about, and want to share with you. We encourage you to come down to our shop, Fast Lane Kayaking on Mission Bay, and check out our huge selection of Hobie Mirage kayaks, accessories, and more. And let's get you on the water, fishing with friends, enjoying the coast with your family, or exploring mountain lakes in solitude. In other words, having fun and making memories.
For your next fishing adventure, check Point Loma Sport Fishing. They offer half-day trips on the Daily Double and full-day trips on the Mission Bell every day. Perfect for novice or seasoned fishermen. Point Loma Sport Fishing also offers overnight to multi-day trips on the American Angler, Vagabond, Intrepid, Independence, Loan, T-Bird, Game Changer, and more. Visit PointLomaSportFishing.com where you can purchase tickets online. Want to go fishing? Point Loma Sport Fishing has you covered.
When it comes to fishing rods for saltwater, there's just one name you need to know, CalStar. Take, for example, the Graphiter series. It's a true graphite and fiberglass composite rod, the finest it's ever been built. And for anglers seeking traditional performance, durability, and quality at an affordable price, the CalStar West Coast series of rods and blanks are the ones for you. Their master craftsmen bring decades of rod building experience to every rod they make. So if you want your fishing rods to be truly state-of-the-art, I always recommend CalStar at fine tackle stores everywhere.
Good morning, anglers. This is Bob Hoots at Costa Sunglasses. Costa is introducing its new Pro Series. This high-performance sunglass series includes Costa's legacy frame styles for a finely tuned fit with minimal light intrusion. Each Pro Series frame is designed with vented, adjustable nose pads, sweat channels, and side shields for improved comfort while on the water. Combined with Costa's 580 polarized lens technology, the new Pro Series allows captains, guides, and anglers to see what's out there. Visit your local Costa dealer or visit us online at CostaSunglasses.com.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. All right, we are going to find out who's going fishing on board the Liberty, a caller or a texter, and Bob's going to do us the honor of the prize coin. Let her rip. Okay. We have a caller today. Congratulations, Ryan in Irvine. You are going fishing on board a full-day trip on the Liberty, and what good timing. Those guys have been crushing it this last week.
They have, yeah. Really good stuff, and some good weather coming up next week for sure. And Kristy, a great addition to Dawson Insurance.
It's so much fun.
You're so knowledgeable and so easy to get along with here, and it just sounds like I can't wait to make my claim.
Right.
For sure.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
And of course, Bob, you're always fantastic to have on. Thanks for what you do. And I'm glad you're going to get more time to go fishing, too.
Me, too.
Yeah, for sure. And Kristy, if somebody wants to buy any type of insurance that you sell, which is pretty much everything, including travel insurance, how do we do that?
They can call our office at 619-460-5615 and ask for Heather Bell at extension 5 or Kristy Antonello at extension 2. Or they can go online to our travel insurance website at safariglobaltravel.com.
All right. And Safari Global Travel has all the information that you might have questions about.
There's a lot of information on there. There's also every possible way to contact us there as well.
Cool. Well, thanks for being here. Appreciate what you do. Bob, let's go fishing.
I'm ready, man.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, you guys are going to Queen Charlotte's.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, great show today, and thank you to Christian for manning the board, and of course Adam for all he does on the Let's Talk Hookup app and everything else that he does on Let's Talk Hookup, and of course for you, our listeners. We are so important, and our texters and our callers. We sure appreciate you. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 to 9 a.m. Mr. John Ireland from Rancho Leonero will be here with Yusuf Cherney from Cutwater Spirits. That's going to be a great show with Yusuf and John. We'll be here tomorrow morning, 7 to 9 a.m. We'll see you then right back here on the Mightier 1090, ESPN Radio, and the Let's Talk Hookup app.